I want to tell you a story about telling stories. About a year ago at church, we were doing a series on giving, on being generous. And that covered a number of different ways to be generous. But one Sunday in particular, we were talking about financial giving, which is not always everyone's favorite topic. So about halfway through the message, this woman stands up and walks out of the room. And it was noticeable because we have a concrete floor in the sanctuary. Everything was quiet except for the speaker, and she had high heels on, and every step she took was quite loud. And so it was just noticeable when she left. And I remember thinking in that moment, she must not really be appreciating being asked to be generous with her money, and she's not going to stick around to hear the rest of this. The funny thing is, the facts were simply someone stood up and left. And then I added a bunch of other stuff in there to create a story about it, right? To create what I chose to believe about that. This woman, she could have gotten a text message that her brother had just been in a car accident and she needed to leave, or any number of things could have happened to necessitate her getting up and walking out in the middle of the service. And I share this story for two reasons. Reason number one, people are always paying attention, and they are probably filling in the gaps between what actually happened and what they believe about what happened with their own narrative. That's happening. And two, we've got to be careful to recognize that we can be very unfair to people, and we can sometimes choose to believe the worst about people simply because we've taken one piece of information, perhaps out of context, and we've added a bunch of emotion and a bunch of our thoughts and feelings and a bunch of history and all this other stuff. We've added that in there to supplement the facts. And the facts of the situation are one thing, the story we believe is another. And I think it's wise for us to be cognizant of the fact that we do that. I don't know that we can stop it. I don't know that we can completely divorce ourselves from the propensity to add color and narrative to facts. But the more that we're aware that that happens in our work and our regular relationships, the more we can at least be on guard to the fact that sometimes we're kind of unfair to the people around us because we've chosen to take a handful of facts and add a bunch of other stuff in there to explain them. And it may not. The bottom line is that the story we tell ourselves, the things that we believe, they're not always accurate. And it would behoove us to dig a little deeper sometimes and find out what the truth of the matter is.